Good afternoon, good evening, and good day. Good morning to those of you on the West Coast. And for those of you that celebrate, Merry Christmas Eve. So, sorry for the delay again today. This time, as usual, the culprits were the Twitch platform and Facebook. What are we going to do with them? X was actually behaving nicely. They told me I had to pre schedule it, and so I did. And then when I hit schedule, it said, oh, don't do that here. All right, whatever. You guys know here I am, 110 Eastern, and we're going to do this. So let's see if I've got this thing set up straight for a discussion. Let's go down to presentation view. Oh, there's somebody in the room, I think. Let's see who we've got. Oh, we've got Mark. Let's get Mark on the stream. I'm going to show Mark on stream. And there we go. So we're going to do collab view. What's up, Mark?
Everybody, how you doing
How you
today?
doing today? Doing
Happy
quite well.
holidays, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Yeah. So they need to have like a sound that says, "Hey, somebody's in the waiting room," and they don't have that. I've got a little
Yeah, a little
dot.
blink noise or something. Yeah.
Yeah. On the other platform, it's like, "Hey, Mark has joined or Pat has joined," and so let me go push the button. So let's see what we've got here on presentation view. I moved us around a little bit because, as Mark will know, I set us up a little shorts view that'll kind of chunk these out for folks who've never seen the shows before. And I did it on mine. Like you saw me and you saw me talking about stuff, but you didn't see any screen. And it came up with some interesting stuff for Mark. So we'll see which of them he actually wants to use. So let's go over here to presentation. Oh, speaking of which, they used some stuff that generally I just left it unedited, but there were a couple of like graphics that it chose that were not in fitting with the show that we provide over there.
Ooh.
So I
Okay.
had to change them. Yeah. One of them was like Mark said something. No, it wasn't Mark. Patrick said he said ooh, and then there was like a bikini girl on the screen. I was like, that's not what we did.
Oh, that sounds like that software could get some people in trouble.
Right? They do say, hey, it's AI. Watch yourself. Make sure it does what you want. And so I'm glad I checked it. Yeah, they've got some major updates coming to it over January, February, and March. So it's gonna be interesting to watch the quality of these things progress before we decide if we want to manually deal with them or not. So let's go on over to the presentation view and transition. And now we don't need transitions anymore, so we'll go back to editor view, save on. Oh, get out of studio mode. There we go. Save on some CPU cycles. And so it's got me and Mark quite above the text, so I'm going to move that over just a little bit. Hey, new software, a little bit of learning curve, not much. But basically what I want is for us to be, like what we're talking about, whatever it is, that it should still be on the screen, on the little previews. So also let me send Mark a copy back of this projector view I've got, so he knows what we're looking at.
Oh, I can see. I've got an iPad.
Oh, you got another view. Okay, perfect.
Yep.
That'll save some cycles and bandwidth. All right, so first up, we're going to talk about, this one came from Sawyer Merritt over on X. He says Canada is to announce this week that all new cars will have to be zero emissions by 2035. Last time Mark and I talked about this over on the What Drives Us show, this was what, 2040 you guys were looking at?
Yep.
All right.
So they've sped up the timetable.
Pulled an Oi on that.
It's interesting that this timetable is for Canada is I would think that it's a goalpost that they've put out there. Yeah. It's not necessarily something that they're going to actually hit, but what Canada has discovered, as other countries have discovered, is that if you don't put a mandate in place and actually have a hard date on it, that means that manufacturers that sell EVs will sometimes skirt your country and give the EVs to another country that has a firm date in place. And that seems to be what's going on here. Possibly is that Canada has decided that, well, in order to be in the game where we want our citizens to be able to choose from EVs, if the manufacturers are going to skip over us because we don't have a mandate in place, we should push up our mandate. We should get it closer so that we've got all those manufacturers combining and giving us a batch of EVs. And that seems to be maybe what's in play in this particular story because of the accelerated date.
Definitely. So let's switch on over to that other story that you mentioned where you guys got the short end of the stick because there was no stick. So this one's coming from Electrek. I need to change Windows because I was in private mode for Reuters because I ran out of articles. And let's see, I need to find the window and settings and change it to this other window. Should be good to go. All right, so it's in Microsoft Edge. I guess it still could be called Sawyer Merritt, even though it's not anymore. All right, there we go. We got it. Let's make this thing fit on the screen. There we go. That should look better. Yeah, that's better. All right, let me close down the other browser window, get some memory back. All right, so this one is kind of on that same line of what Mark was talking about, where Electrek is saying, sorry, Canada, your new Kias are sitting in a storage lot. What? So you've heard how government funds are allocated, where you got to spend it all or you lose it? Well, corporate is kind of a similar way, where if your numbers are too good, they're going to want to see it again next year. So they hit their numbers, and then they decided they were done for the year. They're just going to let your car sit. So if you've been waiting since February for your car, you'll be waiting until next February. Let's take a look at what they had to say there. Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, it's something that is not surprising that you're sandbagging, right? You're playing the numbers the way that you want them to be. And for some unforeseen reason, you're selling more than you expected. So yeah, let's hold back on the throttle a little bit and make sure that we've got some to sell next year, and we make our numbers next year.
That's right. So this is coming to
only 5 weeks away, right? Nobody really wants these things. We just wait another 5 weeks.
And don't you guys also have we have like there's year-end tax incentives for this thing, right?
There, it's not based on year end, but we do have a tax incentive federally and provincially in some provinces. Three or four provinces, actually 5, I believe, have the rebate, but it's not a hard date at this point. It's a fund, and when it runs out, or they top it up, one or the other. So
like
it's not linked to the end of the year because it's not a tax thing here. It's a straight rebate right off the car.
Okay, it's just something you guys are doing for the common good.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, so this is coming from
Canada and all.
Right. This is coming to Electrek from the CBC. And so they've been accused of pulling a shady move, which is stockpiling Kias in a storage lot in Ontario and leaving Canadian customers to dry because they don't want to make their numbers look too good. They're afraid of losing their marketing budget, according to video footage obtained by CBC. So Kia Canada has opted to slash its inventory of new cars in Ontario and wait out the new year in an effort to play the numbers game. As Mark said, sandbagging it. So therefore, the call was made to put a freeze on inventory until 2024, with only a sprinkling of new cars being shipped to dealer lots until the end of 2023. Okay, so they also can't have the lots barren because then people will know what you're up to. Just have to make it look like, the factory is slow or something. Oh, goodness.
I wonder who alerted the CBC to this way of doing business. I wonder if it was some irate owner that was going, "Where's my car?" Kia Global says my car's already been shipped, or maybe they're following it somehow, and they knew that it went to a lot somewhere in Ontario, and they probably went to the lot and said, "Why is there 300 EVs sitting in this lot?"
Oh man, I can see that happening. Like you said, either when you call the news up and you're like, "Hey, this company is screwing me," and they do their investigation and they figure it out. The other possibility that I'm thinking of is somebody who was kind of a salesman like me, who wanted to make sure that the customer was got what they want and that it was a green car. only to find out that all of my green cards are just stalled once they enter the country. Like, what's going on here? Hey, check this out.
Exactly.
Hey, it's good for me. It's good for them. So I can see that going any number of ways. All right, so we talked about. Oh, the mouse jumped. We talked about the CBC, and we talked about the Canadian Kias. So this was something that Mark and I have been kind of watching loosely. I've been waiting for the documentary to come out. It's the first ever drive from North to South Pole. It's complete, and it was all electric in the Nissan Aria. It's actually the first EV,
Exactly.
if not the only vehicle to have done it, like commercial vehicle, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, another feat for an electric vehicle. I think
Oh, yeah.
that over time, all these records are going to fall for. But it's a way to gain attention, right? Like you do something
Exactly.
extraordinary, find out, oh, it's an EV. It just in the mindset of the general public, it just kind of helps layer people to exposure to EVs and say, oh, they can do that as well. Oh, they can do this. Oh, they're fast. Oh, they're versatile. Oh, they're trucks. All that kind of stuff is just helping
Exactly.
the market overall.
Yeah. I would play on this, but the amount of times that Tesla has burned me with music, I don't trust any random Instagram to not have music on it. But this is exciting, and when the documentary comes out, I'll be glad to watch it and share it with you all. Some folks are gonna say, "Oh, they used gas generators." Yeah, yeah, they did. But they also used solar. They dragged it around with them. This was an expedition to make this trek. It's not normally possible without some severe or substantial logistics because uh, first off, the North Pole is not always navigable by land or by land vehicles, I should say, because there is no land there. It's the sea, and then once you do get back to North America and land, and then you get on down to the interface between North and South America, there's a little area we call the Darien Gap. You can't really do that without support either. We the last time we had any vehicles do it was what the 50s, and some of them like 80% of the vehicles that did the trek are still in the jungle. So I should say the rainforest.
Exactly.
And they cannibalized parts. They had help and they did it. But in order for a modern car, they're not as I mean, they're more crash worthy, but they're not as they're not seen as robust as the older cars, and they certainly aren't as wrenchable because they got all the computers and all the high voltage and everything. So there was definitely some logistics to get around all of that, but they did it. They got to Antarctica, and I am excited to see how all that played out. I've purposely not been following it that way. The whole thing will be like riveting for the whole hour or 2 hours, however long this thing ends up being. That's exciting to me. All right, so then we've got closing tabs as I go. That way we can get some more memory for the system. Tesla's announced they've sold over 2 times as many cars in Sweden as they did in 2022. Despite challenges, to say the least. Anders will tell us all about
Sweden's a challenging country currently for a few reasons, but
yes,
one main reason.
absolutely. So Marcus over at High Voltage Racing and Performance Racing Team with the EV Smoke says, "Hello, happy holidays all." And that also reminds me, I need to move the chat box to someplace you guys can see it. Because right now it's on top of or under the window, but it's black on black. All right.
Yeah, so Sweden is certainly a thorn in Tesla's side lately.
Yes.
Been a lot of issues with the MF strike that's been going on, and the connection to other labor unions and even other countries. It's been a big challenge for Swedish owners even to get their license plates from the state-run industry, distributing the plates through the post office, and the post office has been politicized against this strike. So they're not delivering plates to Tesla. They will deliver plates directly to owners, but it's the logistic problem. Okay, now there's plates coming to Tesla that are currently being held in a warehouse. Which ones do we send to the owners? What paperwork does the owner have to do to get a new plate? man, it's a real problem going on in Sweden.
Yeah, they had what they ended up doing was what they do in states like South Carolina, South Dakota, uh, Texas, and other countries where they have these issues. What they do is they either transfer the car into your name or they get all the paperwork into your name already ready to go. And then you, as the customer, walk the paperwork into the authority, DMV, BMV, Transport Authority in the case of Sweden, and you get everything ready to go in time for your delivery. That way, when you get there, you can put it on your car, or in this case, Tesla puts it on your car, and then you can drive off legally. In the case of South Carolina, that's not, it's not all that is necessary. So they put you on a 30-day temporary plate, and on my Model X, day 29, the paperwork was FedExed. They put it in my screen door, closed the door, didn't ring the bell or anything. I'm just lucky that the doorbell camera was like, "Hey, something's going on," and I looked, I saw, oh, all right, I'm making an emergency trip down to the DMV because well, once that plate expires, you can't drive the car, which is a similar situation we're finding ourselves in with these early owners in the process where IF Metal held the 1,000 plates hostage and Tesla sued IF Metal and the transport union, or not union, but the transport authority. And they got a reprieve and they gathered all the plates they could during that the court ordered, hey, do the right thing. And there were still 1,000 of them outstanding by the time that the appeal went in, and the appeal said, "Oh, go back to the way it was until we have a chance to discuss this thing." And so they got the injunction on the injunction, and so now those plates are, you know, Tesla property, but they're being held by the postal service, and we'll see what happens if Tesla will be able to resume picking them up. But at this point, they might not need to. The problem here is for those folks who are at the beginning of this process. Like, as soon as they saw the appeal go through, they said, "All right, what can we do? How can we solve this?" They put out a ad to hire a lobbyist who has proven results in Sweden and the region because this is not going away, and so they want to be proactive about that. But for those of you that were stuck at the beginning of the process, tip of the spear, if you will, well, it didn't matter when and how they did it. It wasn't going to happen in time for you to pick up the car with the plates already on it. So these folks, they're having to get the car flatbedded to their house, park it in the driveway, and they can't drive it until the plates arrive from PostNord to, John Smith, which is obviously not a good generic name for a Swede, but either way, until the plates arrive in the mail and you can put them on your car. Now, going forward, probably another 2-3 weeks for all the paperwork to process, and they can start mailing them out and getting them to you while the cars are being delivered to Tesla. Then you'll come in with your plate, and while you're signing the last year paperwork, they can put the plate on the car, and you're good to go. But these early folks, they've got a little bit of teething pains because of it.
Yeah, and the spread of it to Denmark, adjacent countries. Although I have heard that the Denmark thing has kind of teetered out. Denmark had looked at the issue and said we're not really aligned with this particular union. It doesn't make sense for Denmark to follow along with it, and the strike action was canceled in Denmark.
Yeah, they tried it in IF Metal tried to get IG Metal in Germany to participate in their sympathy strikes, and IG Metal said, "Yeah, that's not only is it immoral, it's probably illegal too." And so they said, "Go pound sand, deal with your own people, and we'll deal with ours." That's not to say that IG Metal is going to leave Tesla alone. They've got a facility across the street from Tesla. I don't see across the street from Giga Berlin, but across the street from some Tesla owned property or some Tesla owned rented office, and they are working on getting into there. But they decided that this level of sympathy strike across the country is when they don't have any stake in this was not a good look for them, and they're right. They're right. The only people I see in favor of this are the people who only watch certain media outlets in Sweden where everything is you're only getting one side of the story. I've said this time and again that we're not, no matter who you listen to, you're not getting the whole story. But if you can at least hear parts of the other story, you can kind of come up with your own conclusion as to what's going on. But if you only hear what IF Metal is saying and they're not exactly saying accurate things. They're saying, "Oh yeah, there's 130 people on strike." No, no, no. There's 130 people that we want to cover. There's 13 people on and off strike. But if 130 sounds a lot more impressive and like, oh my goodness, can you believe Elon? He's such a jerk. You find out there's 13 people and all of them are at work, and they're complaining that you're making them work in filth because you've stopped the janitorial service and the trash pickup. You look like the bad guy. Especially when they said, "Oh yeah, well, we don't want to do that," and the Tesla said, "Oh, they don't want it. We don't need you." I, I, I don't blame anybody on that side of the equation as to their responses, but I do kind of understand that if we start to let up, then other people, who else is going to let up? But the problem is just like the dealer lobbies, they're running into whoops, we picked the wrong battle, and now it's just going to be even if they win, it's going to be a slog and it's going to cost them dearly. And stuff will change, even if they win, stuff will change away from their favor. So speaking of that region, though, Model Y has broken a 37-year-old sales record in Denmark. And you might say, yeah, you told us about this a couple weeks ago, both you and Mark. Yes, we have. But guess what? 2 more months have passed. So the record continued to fall to the wayside. And let's see what numbers we're working with today. 3 seconds ago. I don't believe that. Unless they just updated it while I loaded it. 37-year-old sales record to become the world's best selling car in 2023. Published in October. They broke the 10-year record with 12,944 Model Ys registered over the first 10 months of the year, surpassing the record held by the VW Up at 12,940 since 2013. However, now, with 2 more months, it turns out there was another record hidden in the archives that goes back even further. The 1986 Opel Kadett was the most popular car ever, with 18,686 sales that year. And according to the official Tesla Europe and Middle East account on X, the record wasn't publicly known until now. But the Model Y has now surpassed that watermark as well. So, Model Y broke this to 2013. Now, the best-selling car in a single year ever, beating the previous records at 1986. Coming straight from the archives and wasn't publicly known before, the Model Y has beaten them both. I don't see a number with that. Where's the I like to read you guys weird numbers. And the VW Beetle we talked as well.
They're holding a number because, of course, the year's not over yet.
Oh, yeah. Why say it now when you can just say the whole number a couple more days? Yeah.
That's right.
Averaged 100 registrations per day, despite all of this mess going on with the sympathy strikes and everything. 2022 Model Y registered 16,701 sales to surpass the record set in 1969 by the VW Beetle, which sold 16,699, which we told you about last year, which was a record for 50 years at the time. And when did they stop making the old Beetle? What, 2002 in Mexico? Something like that?
Yeah. Or was it? Well, yeah, Mexico was the last country making it. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, oh yeah.
I was thinking Brazil. Brazil was mixed in there too. They were doing. They were doing the Beetle
bus.
Yeah.
I think they did the bus to like 1971 before they started making like diverging changes to it. That's impressive. Go. I guess that'd be Team Giga Berlin at this point, and also Giga Shanghai.
Yeah.
Let's see what Sawyer's got for us here. Tesla has informed workers at Giga Nevada that the set rate hourly workers will see pay increases of around 10% starting in early January, according to CNBC. Some workers might see between $20 and $36.65 per hour, adjusted to $34.50 an hour. Not bad. And this is
like trying to keep the unions at bay with an increase like that,
right? 10%, just boom, there it is. And that was part of the contention with IF Metals behind the scenes negotiations, was they wanted guaranteed raises every year. And my response to that has always been, Tesla's a cheap company, and to do non-meritorious raises just because it's the new year, let's get you. They're fine with cost of living adjustments and all that, but they're going to want to see that you're keeping up, because if you're just slacking off, they'd rather just get rid of you. So I can see them coming to some sort of conclusions and arrangements, and what I feel the union should be doing there is knowing that they're not going to get in, helping them with talking points. Hey, here, go in, discuss this, and then when you come back with a contract, we'll share it amongst the group, and then all of you guys, all 13 of you, will get the new contract because you're all going to come in and give it to Tesla, and they're going to say, "Oh, well, Bobby got it. Yeah, I want it. Here's my work. You worked out. Okay, yeah, you can have that too." And then you've done what you said you're doing, is protecting the workers, increasing their pay, getting them retirement, etc. Instead of out there grandstanding. That's just me though. All right, so let's see. We got a chat, and it says, Giga Texas received great raise beginning of the year too. Oh, so they got a second raise. Look at that. Hi, what's up? Do you want to say Merry Christmas? She's dancing on the floor over here. You want up? She doesn't want up. She wants to dance. Well, there we go. Then we've got this. This is a YouTube video. I'm not going to play it because I don't want to make Jay mad. But in it, Jay Leno had some time with Lars and Franz, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, and so he did what he does, and he got them just a nice, easygoing conversation. And we learned some stuff that we didn't already know about the truck, like the scuba mode, or the Wade mode, and the scuba connection for that were officially unveiled. And then Franz let us know that they were working on wireless charging, and Franz also let us know something else was working on that. Oh, he let us know that there were 100 Tesla. Oh no! He let us know that there were 100 Tesla semis in the Tesla fleet. So I don't even know how many that means for Pepsi right now. Yeah, it says your temperature's low because you took your temperature without it in your mouth or armpits. So it's low. Get that baby to the hospital. Yeah. And then Jay said, if you happen to go on and bought this truck without your spouse's approval and you get kicked out of the house, you can use this accessory tent. He's the first person we've seen to sit in the tent. And it's air inflatable, but it's got its own hand pump, or you can use the tire pump that Tesla will be releasing later. So this was exciting. You watched all of it yet, Mark?
Yeah, it was interesting watch for an hour. It was interesting that they talked about that air system in the vehicle, obviously for the shocks of the vehicle, the ability to raise up to that 70.5-inch clearance height or lower. Franz had indicated that it's extremely fast to do that. It's one of the fastest vehicles to go from its 0 point to its 100% point in height. And Jay asked about filling a tire, and basically it was answered, listen, the tire has over 100 cubic liters of space inside of it, whereas the entire shock system has 17. So he said, obviously, we've built for the 17, and that would be painfully long to fill a tire. So they said, we're going to include a secondary aftermarket tire filler that is scoped to actually fill tires. So he said, instead of taxing the system we've got at a slow speed, why not put a component in your frunk or trunk that would actually perform this in a timely manner.
Exactly. I'm curious if that's going to recharge with USB-C, AC 120, or if they'll have well, I guess I didn't see any ports in the documentation, but I guess you could plug it into one of the other accessory ports, but that'd be a little weird. Unplug your light bar for about 10 minutes to recharge this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And with the architecture being a 48 volt system, it would probably make sense to have the unit plug into the 120 volt in the back, wouldn't it? Because if you just have a regular plug it into the 120, 2 ports available in the back, and a port available inside the vehicle as well. 120 is available inside. So that would give you the versatility of getting to the back of the vehicle or getting to the front of the vehicle with your air hose.
Yeah, especially like if you just took it out of the box, you need it now, you've never recharged it, you might want to run the cable to it. So you get one in the driver's area, one in the passenger's area, and then 2 in the bed. And I can also see them doing it with USB-C, but again, that means that you have to be mindful about the charge on that thing, because I don't imagine that USB-C will provide enough power to actually inflate 35-inch tires while you're on the side of the road.
Yeah, and if you've got the unit, if it's a cold night, you got the unit outside or something.
Yeah,
That's a recipe for disaster if you haven't charged it properly.
right. Yeah. Speaking of charging it properly, I just switched my OMU lithium battery for the new Model X OMU battery, which has a Bluetooth and a heater on board, and I was able to
Oh,
see how the temperature affects that recharge, and it's substantial. Yeah.
very
Uh,
cool.
t-
So you can now
typically,
watch that on an app.
yeah, absolutely. I tried it on my Android, and it sees the battery and it tries to connect, and it never connects. And then I tried it on my iPad, and it started to connect, but then I had to like get to the car, open the frunk, and then it connected. And then I could close the frunk, and it would just say the signal was weak at that point. So I don't know if that's onto the iPad's Bluetooth or
Oh, that's
on the
not
metal.
too good. Yeah.
It's not too good, but it's better than what we had before, where the car
Well,
was.
it is a step up, but man, you,
Yeah,
you got to believe that you should be able to shut your trunk and be able to read it still.
yeah, I agree. But what started all of this was I was complaining to them because the car, I don't know what happened. Like either the last one was taking too much power down, or something to the fact that the car thought the battery was dead. It doesn't know it's not a lead battery. It's like, yeah, dead. No more updates, and go get a new one from service. I'm like, yeah, no, that's not going to happen. Uh, there's some procedures you can do to reset all that, but on the older battery, I had to take the one of the legs off the battery and then put it back down in order for it to actually work. So what's cool about this one is in that app you can pause charging and you can pause discharging. And so once it can't charge or discharge and you select power off in the car, it turns off. And so then once you turn it back on in the app, then the car reboots from scratch. And that means no more having to get your 10 millimeter out and deal with that, which is
Hmm.
a plus. Timothy says hello. Greetings. Good to see you. Happy holidays.
Hey,
And
Timothy.
what else did we see in this? It was nice. And some folks pointed out that, again, Jay went over the lines just like he did with the semi. They said with the semi, it was not unexpected. It's a large vehicle. And some other people pointed out that Jay does this with motorcycles as well. He just doesn't stay in the lane as if like they're like carving through the canyons and they've got a lead car and a follow car. But it would look more cool if you were to do it like a nice wide track or a nice wide boulevard where there are no lane lines, because it just looks like he's not driving straight.
There could be that he's not driving straight. That could be part of the problem. It might well be.
Be kind of surprised if
I
he's
have to admit that I don't watch Jay Leno garage videos other than the Tesla content or the EV content I've
or
seen.
like a steam
But
car. Yeah.
yeah, it's maybe Jay's a wanderer in his lane and has been for a while. Who knows?
Right. Yeah. But definitely take a chance to go watch that if you got some more time later this during your downtime, and you won't be disappointed. If you have seen it, pop down in the chat and let us know what you thought about it. So let's talk about some superchargers real quick. But before we talk about superchargers, we've got a little treat from Lee. Let's see how I can do this. I'm gonna do a new source, and I want to do well, first as an image, then I'm gonna do a media file. Let's start with the image. We want a new source. We'll call it image share, and then we'll add a source. And then we'll pick. I put it in my downloads folder so I can find it. So on downloads, there's an image. Oh, that's too big. All right, so we will transform it to fit the screen. There we go. And then we'll uncover me and Mark. So what we're looking at here is Lee has a local supercharger V3 site opening up. Look at that.
Oh,
Yeah. And so she also sent us a quick video. So let's take a look at that real quick. Delete the image share, and then we will add a media file from in the same place. New.
Looks well under construction.
Yes. And then we're gonna do a local file. We don't need to loop. I mean, we could loop, but it's not a TikTok. And then we need to. Oh, it already fits the right spot.
Here in Vegas, off of Arroyo.
I can't hear on mine, but can you guys hear Lee describing what's going on?
Installing
No.
superchargers.
You know what? There's a
Oh my
setting.
gosh.
Settings.
Amazing.
Properties. Monitor was off.
Okay, can hear her.
Okay, good. All right.
She sounds excited.
Yeah. I mean, it's always nice when there's a supercharger opening in your backyard, because then it changes the way you can do stuff, especially if it's sited at a place that you already go, or if it's like on your way to or from places where you've had difficulties keeping the charge level where you like it at. So it's always fun. So you now close the media share, and we'll continue.
Yeah, we just got a new construction for a supercharger not 5 minutes from my location. So
yeah,
it's kind of cool.
It's got some interesting features as far as the way.
Yeah, we got a couple L2s being installed right beside it, and haven't figured out how the park is going to go for all of the superchargers, but we'll see in time.
Yeah, they did something confusing with the bollards, like the way that they blocked off from people backing into the superchargers. They only put them on one side, and it's not the side that every other site that you've seen with bollards puts them.
Yeah, and it's in that case, 2 of the supercharger bollards are not on the right side for people backing into them. So we will see what the plan is, because right now it's kind of questionable.
Yeah, there's a fingerprint here. I don't know what that means. What is that? I hesitate to click on it because I might just start sharing all my information. So Tesla's to open the supercharger network to Ford and GM in February. So Mark and I have been telling you about how with the Supercharger Coalition having been started, I mean, I know Aptera was there, but as far as production cars that are on the road, it's been started with Ford, followed closely by GM, and then the rest of the industry was a wrap. It turns out that when they said in 2024 you'll have access with adapters, they meant early 2024, because in February, GM and Ford will be able to start charging at select superchargers. We don't have any details on how any of this will work because we haven't heard anything about the adapters yet. and right now the native port cars don't come until 2025, so this will be interesting to see how it all rolls out, but we will be watching it, and it's going to be exciting.
Yeah, I got to believe that there's a lot of Ford users of the F-150 Lightning that are anxious to get themselves an adapter. We'll have to see how quickly, them being first in line, how quickly they get them.
Exactly. I suspect that the Charge Angels probably already have the adapter, and they've probably been like the same way that Tesla does like the covers. They probably have like something draped over the charge handle. Who knows? Or maybe they're only charging at service centers. Hey, free us up for about 3 hours. We're gonna bring in about three Lightnings and two Mustangs, and yeah. Because most of the service centers have a Gen 2 V2 supercharger on site. It's not usually open to the public, but how else are they doing all those deliveries without? Yeah, you can plug them in on the wall connectors, but they use those superchargers both for service and for sales. So
yeah,
that's always fun. But we will watch it and we will let you know more. And this was found out from somebody who had 2 hours to watch the Far West City Planning Commission meeting from 12/14. I started to, and I was like, I can't do this. I closed it. They didn't have a timestamp for me to look for. All right, so close those two, and now we've got a press release from Volkswagen. Why would we care about what Volkswagen is doing here if they don't have a new car going on sale today, right? Well, I'll tell you why. we have the final entrant to the Supercharger Coalition. The Volkswagen, Audi, Porsche, and Scout Motors have all implemented NACS. You'll see a certain wording they use here in a minute. My suspicion was they were waiting for J3400 to be a ratified standard. What is J3400 you call it? You say? I call it JNAX because their name is stupid. J3400 JNAX is the SAE version of the Tesla port NAX. And all they did was copy all the Tesla stuff in, and then they added some cool stuff like detachable cables and three-phase charging. Three-phase charging requires a different connector. It's not the NAX, and it's not J1772. It's the European Type 2 connector. Which, at least they didn't make a third connector for this, because that was getting out of hand. So they've used existing stuff for everything. So you get a detachable handle on the Type 2. Basically, that's the exact same cable you can lamppost charge in Europe. And then they added that same connector to the J1772 and to NACS. So if you have a AC charger, or AC charging point, I should say, it's not really a charger or anything, say a bunch of lampposts or something on the side of the street, you can bring your own cable, you can pop it in there, and the city or the building owner don't have to worry about maintaining cables. They don't have to worry about copper thieves or any of that. And so far, most of these people haven't been cutting active charging cars for, I'm guessing, two reasons. One, they're not total jerks, and two, they probably have a little bit of self-preservation instincts. Let me not cut the cable that's got 500 volts, 1,000 volts running through it right now with these metal shears. So that was cool. But so let's get to what Volkswagen said and why, and you'll see in a minute why I thought that they were waiting for this to happen before jumping on board. Because it got to the point where, like, they were the last ones. Their charging network, Electrify America and Electrify Canada, had already joined up. And it's like, well, what are you waiting for? You're going to be the last one if you keep this up. Toyota beat them to it. We thought Toyota was going to be last. So Volkswagen, Audi, and Porsche Scout Motors brands to implement North American charging standard in future electric vehicles. This is coming from December 19th. They're going to start using the NACS port in 2025, and Volkswagen, Porsche, and Audi are exploring solutions for existing vehicles to access the supercharger network starting in 2025. So right there, they don't know their adapter story. But what I did like about this is their adapter story is better than BMW's. BMW didn't mention it at all. They said, hey, we're going native NACS in 2025. Hyundai and Lucid said in 2025 we'll have adapters. Everybody else's adapters are coming in 2024 because that's what happens when you're not at the back of the line. And so this is very possible that Audi may have adapters, but Volkswagen won't. Or Porsche will have adapters and Audi will say, we didn't sell enough cars. Or don't quote me on any of that, because we don't know how this is going. They don't know. We'll find out more, and we'll let you know more as we know more. They did point out as a kind of a good thing, but it's kind of like a duh. Scout Motors customers are going to have native access to the Tesla network once their vehicles go on sale. It would be stupid to bring a new car out after the changeover with the old port. So pat yourself on the back for doing what makes sense. Right? The same thing I say about Stellantis. They haven't announced yet, but they don't really have anything that can of importance that they can DC charge in North America. So when they bring out,
they just have cars on renders at the moment for EVs,
right? So, and then the Fiat 500e, if you can find one. I don't think it can DC charge either, though, or at least the old one couldn't. I don't know if the brand new one can or not. But as we discussed, that's not a wise purchase decision as far as like how much you get for range and how much car you get for it. And if you just really like a cute car, do you, but make sure it'll suit.
Yeah, at this point, Stellantis could join the coalition and not have to worry about adapters, because they don't have anything to adapt from. So just start with the NACS for your first vehicle. Another one, Mazda. Haven't heard anything from Mazda.
Mazda, we did hear a little bit.
They have a lackluster EV that they introduced, mid-range version,
100 miles,
which is great for city and regional car. It works, but no, crickets from them. No talk from them.
At the end of the year, they won't make any more of that car, and for its replacement, it sounds like they're going to try yet again to put the what do they call their the Wankel, their triangular, the Mazda RX-7 motor. They're going to try yet again to make that a thing, and they're going to make it into
the cylindrical or oval motor or something.
they're gonna try to make that into a serial hybrid.
Rotary motor.
Yeah. They're gonna try to make it into the same chassis, same thing. Only 700-mile range battery. You'll have like a 25 or 50-mile range battery, and a gas engine that is notoriously known for needing maintenance.
Yeah, not going to be high in the reliability category and low maintenance category.
Right. Hybrids already fail at that, and now you're gonna just make the gas part of the hybrid just that much.
Yeah, at this point, you should be going full EV. There should be no question about it.
Yeah, and we're gonna talk about that in a minute too. Another manufacturer said, "Yeah, we're done playing this game. We're just gonna go electric." So we hope that Mazda survives. We don't want anybody to lose this game because more choice for the consumers is good. You don't want everybody to have the same car, but we also don't want to tell you, hey, you should go get a 2024 BMW, and then you'll have to use an adapter for the next 10 years, or hey, you should go get a Mazda, and then oh wait, all the gas stations are closing because they don't have any customers. We're going to be realistic about it. But so when Stellantis comes out with the Ram Charger and then the e-Rev or whatever they're calling the full electric instead of the one with the V6, and then the unannounced vehicles like the vans, or not really unannounced, but like the ones we don't know a lot about, they can come in with a native NACS port, and they don't have to announce because this is, one, now it's an open standard, and two, when it wasn't, Tesla just said, here's our homework, you can copy it. No fees, no nothing. But I think they're going to have to announce, because if you come out with a car that has the port and it can't supercharge, when people find out, they're not going to want to buy your vehicles. So what they're going to probably end up doing is announcing, or they may even just have it in the, like, hey, what it can do. They might not do a press release like this, but they'll say, hey, here's the new V6 and the pure electric ones, and you can supercharge them. They'll at least appear on the sheet if they don't make a prognostication like this. Yeah, and so their agreement is another one of the ones with the 15. Oh, I lost my mouse. Where did it go? With the 15,000 superchargers. So when Ford and GM announced, there was only 12 available. Of the people who announced with 12, only Ford has upped their number to 15,000 available superchargers. So Mark and Patrick and I have been speculating as to what's going on with that. Has the network just grown that much and the other people don't want to draw attention to this by re-press releasing? Or did Ford have some sort of either good luck with their negotiations, or did they make new negotiations to get the extra 3,000 sites? Who knows?
Yeah.
Yep. So this is good for VW. So what I can say is, if you want to buy a non-Tesla and you want to buy it now and you don't mind adapters and you don't keep your car for 10 years, you can get anything but a BMW and a Mazda. This got a CCS port. And the reason I say BMW is, again, they haven't said what the adapter story is. So you could have that 2024 BMW with a CCS1 port, and then the 2025 comes out with a native port, and then you might be stuck at sites that have Magic Docks because they didn't address it. They didn't even bring up that it exists at all. And technically, you should only be using adapters from your manufacturer. So that means that if they don't make adapters, that means that you can't use NACS on the BMW. Ethically, legally, I don't know. A lot of the other networks, they say if you use an adapter, you can't use us if the adapter wasn't made by the car. So basically, if you plug in your BMW with a third-party adapter to EVgo, ChargePoint, or Electrify America, and you burn down their station, they're coming after you. So use at your own risk. And I don't think that the adapters are going to be probably a bad thing. But again, if they're scrubbing their hands, there's got to be a chance that there's going to be bad ones out there. Like, hey, your car says it can do 1,000 volts at 600 amps, and then the adapter is only rated at 400 volts and 300 amps.
Yeah, but those are third-party things. Like if if a third-party manufacturer, or if you buy something from mail order from China, and you're hoping it'll work, and it does work for a while, like the manufacturer has to have something to say about it, saying, listen, you're using an unauthorized piece of hardware here with our vehicle that hasn't been tested with our vehicle, that we don't know if it follows the same rules and regulations that we do. We have to wash our hands completely of this. This is going to be your fault and your responsibility.
Yeah, and I think that's what's happening there because the manufacturer, they're going to say, "Oh, we don't know anything about it. It's aftermarket," and then the networks have already said, "Yeah, no, nope."
Yeah.
And so then somebody asked, "Well, how can you tell? Can you detect it?" And they said, "No, we have no way of knowing." But now they've made that statement, and then, like I said, if you burn down their station, they're coming after you. Hey, we'd like 300,000 to reinstall this station, please, or more. Oh, that was the low end of just paperwork we saw at one of the supercharger sites. Was 300 grand for paperwork. Good luck. So that's why I say, anybody but BMW, go ahead and do it. But obviously, Mark and I are partial to Tesla because we've had a good experience with them, and but we're not going to turn you down from the rest. That'd be a good time to talk about Riva, right?
Absolutely. Good segue.
Go ahead, tell us about Riva.
You're talking about the Riva Association?
Yeah.
Okay. We're Riva, Waterloo Region Electric Vehicle Association, started about 10 years ago. And it was a group of EV owners, actually Volt owners, that started it. And we grew by allowing others that were EV minded into the group and became a group for all EVers here in Waterloo Region, Ontario, Canada. And we have a great time. We educate the public with different events that we hold throughout the year, typically in warmer weather. And we also will get together with other groups to promote EVs. Last year, we did a run to Lewiston, New York, which was very cool, part of National Drive Electric Week. And week after, we held one of our largest events right here in Waterloo Region, where we brought in over 100 vehicles registered to display their cars and talk to the public about the benefits of driving an EV in our region from real owners, not people that are selling things, people that actually own it and can talk to their experience. So that's what Riva does, and we'll be around certainly for next year and years to come.
There you go. Yeah, it's always nice to be able to get their real opinions from a real owner versus ending up you get there, it's like all a bunch of like card salesmen. It's like, all right, I need your number, your email. All right, we'll test drive next week. I just wanted to look at a car. Yes.
Yep. So it's good to get it's good to understand from different owners, their expectations, what's been met, what hasn't been met, what issues they've had, what things they've been able to overcome or not overcome. Anybody spending money on a car, certainly you'd like to know the truth about that particular brand or that particular model before you get involved with it.
Exactly. And speaking of the truth, we talked about how Rivian had they had this Georgia plant that was having some difficulties because certain entities were in there telling the locals that their farms would be disrupted and how this was bad for them, et cetera, and they fell for it. And then they were complaining, "Oh, no jobs." Well, yeah, if the plant's not there, how are you gonna work in the plant, right? Well, it looks like they were able to get things back.
That's pretty basic, isn't it?
So the $5 billion expansion plans are finally moving forward. They've selected Clayco for the, I guess that's the developer of the Georgia mega plant, and it's good news for the automaker's future plans. So we congratulate Rivian on being able to get this thing back on track, because it seems like all they need is volume and, of course, continued cost reductions to achieve that stability and then profitability that we would like to see them do, so they can stick around as another selection of quality vehicles for people to choose from. So this is exciting. Let's see, the legal battles over property tax breaks made things tough, and construction of the second plant, which was intended to begin in the summer of 2022. Oh, I thought it was canceled at that point. So it was just, they didn't give up. That's a good thing. In an earlier ruling, the court denied Rivian access to the bonds that would allow $700 million in tax breaks. But in August, the Georgia Council of Appeals overturned that decision and sided with the state and local authorities, according to the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. And the authorities were vouching for Rivian to go forward with massive investment, which should be a shot in the arm for the local economy. Hey, the jobs are back! with legal battles out of the way, it seems that Rivian is finally pushing forward with the site. Congratulations to Rivian. Glad they did it.
All those future employees just hanging out in the field waiting for this to happen. Terrible.
What am I supposed to do with this site? Make hay? So, speaking of, we touched on this when Mark brought us there. Hyundai is doubling down on the shift to EVs with plans to shut down 2 engine parts plants. That's the kind of signal you want to send to future customers and to everybody who works in your plant. Hey, we got your back. You got to retrain. We got you. We're not worried about nickel and diming you in service. He said these things are comfortable and quiet and economical. All right, we're going to do that for you. And then also for the countries that they are in, most of the places that Hyundai and Kia have been running in have been putting in, just like Canada did, been putting in these mandates. Hey, 2030, 2040, 2065 for UAE, but hey, it's still the mandates. You have something that you can build to and strive for, whereas you've got all these American car makers that are complaining, the new emissions are going to bankrupt us. We didn't know they were coming, blah, blah, blah. 30 years ago, when the government said they were going to put these plans in, they asked you, can you do this? You said yes. And they said, okay, we're going to do it. And you didn't say, hey, don't do it. Or if you lost when you tried to object. So you can't say that, oh my goodness, 30 years is too soon. How could we ever be ready? Just do what Hyundai did. Just roll with the flow. You're not going to get them to change their minds.
I think American industry has an issue with, of course, politics, because it seems that things turn on a dime when a new administration comes in 4 years. And how can you work towards a goal that's a long-term goal if emission standards and requirements don't follow a logical path? They just deviate wildly depending on who gets in office and what they think the situation should be. It just changes too often.
Yeah. So they can say, we expected to be able to bribe another administration to not implement these things because the previous administration made things a little easier than the actually 3 before them. I'm still suggesting that, hey, you knew this was coming 30 years ago. Yeah, you could have figured some wiggle, but you should have just been aiming at the strictest and then been like, oh, hey, we can use this cheaper thing because it actually ended up not being exactly there now that it's been 3 years from when we first were warned that this was going to happen.
Yeah, they should have invested more in it. But now, who knows? We've got another election in the U.S. that's going to happen in under a year. Again, based on the past track record, anything could happen. Anything could happen.
Yeah. The best thing to do would be to invest as if this thing is going to be as strict as possible. Worst case is you're just blowing away the requirements. Best case is that you come in and you're not kicked out of the market.
Right. Well, that's the thing that they're playing against now, which really wasn't a reality maybe 10 years ago in their eyes. That they couldn't believe that stricter standards could actually come into place. They couldn't believe that an electric car could actually be something that someone would want to own. And of course, Tesla has proven that point over and over again. So they don't have that leg to fall back on at this point. But maybe 10 years ago, they could have made the case.
But they knew this was coming in the 90s when GM did the EV1 and California said, ooh, that's exactly what we've been needing. You're going to have to do that now. And they were able to get them pulled back and crushed. But they should have been like, we should have a division dedicated to making sure this EV thing works, just in case they bring this back. Because we know how politics is. It could come back.
Yep.
And it did.
What's old is new again.
Thanks to the fine folks that all co-founded Tesla and their competitors and like the ones that are came out as all electric Rivian and them, and now you can't put that genie back in the bottle, thankfully.
And others like Hyundai from the previous story, they're all pushing at this, and they can see the writing on the wall, closing down 2 engine plants. They know worldwide that everyone's changing. The U.S. will eventually get there, but speed may be a little bit different. But Hyundai has placed their bet, and they know based on their other country markets that they're in, is that EV is the way it's going to go.
Exactly. I mean, yeah, the U.S. is a large market, but if the rest of your market is already there, you can still sell the same product in the U.S. and people will buy it. And don't forget that California is a part of the U.S. and they have already several times indicated where they want to go. So just assume it's going to happen. Just look at it like, hey, you can do it cheaper and dirtier if things work out in your favor. You shouldn't, but you could. That's also the same reason we've been seeing trucks get longer, wider, taller, and heavier, because the closer you get to a just heavy duty truck, the less you need to comply with these emissions, and they've been cheap.
The more your sedan turns into a SUV, the less things you have to adhere to, right? And that's exactly what happened in North America.
Yeah, we saw Subaru do it all at once in front of our eyes. That was the kind of the wake up call for me as a young person. It was 1 year, all the Subarus were like sporty cars and station wagons and sedans, and all of a sudden they were crossovers and station wagon SUVs and one or two sporty cars. Like overnight, they all raised up 3 inches just because that made them qualify as trucks.
Yep.
That was what alerted me to the game, and I got upset with it. All right, so we talked about recalls last week, and we've determined that the Tesla recall was what we have decided to call a over-the-air at-home software update versus a over-the-air software recall versus a bring-it-in to the dealer software recall, or a just what we call a recall, which is where you bring it in and they're wrenching on the car. Well, that was 2 million-ish vehicles, according to Tesla, even though a good many of them don't actually have any sort of auto steer, which was what was being recalled. And what was actually being recalled was we determined the NHTSA wasn't actually mad at auto steer the way it was functioning. They were upset at the humans for being able to get around some of the restrictions. So they wanted the text to be clearer. They wanted it to be bolder and more prominent. So it moved from the bottom of the screens to the top. And then it brought in the strikes for FSD. It brought them to regular owners as well. So even if you have an AP1 car, if they catch you not responding to the prompts in time, they will put you on timeout for at least a week. Which is, as we discussed, it's fine, it's smart. You already knew you should have been doing this, and so now they're making you do it. But now we get into a recall that is much more substantial. We've got 1 million vehicles that need to come in for a traditional recall. You need to have parts removed. You need to have parts on hand. You need to get service involved. Toyota has got 1 million vehicles that have an airbag sensor glitch. So the airbag will either come out too forcefully or not at all, because what's happening is the passenger seat presence and the weight is just not being registered correctly. So you'll either think that you're not in there, or that if you shouldn't have a kid in the front seat, but if you did, it might think they're an adult and then give them the full force. Or if you have an adult in there, it might think they're a kid and either give them no force or kid size force. And that you don't want the wrong force from an airbag in a collision where an airbag is required. It's not going to end well. So these vehicles are from 2020 to 2021, and they go from Toyota and Lexus, from the Avalon and the Corolla and the Sienna, all of it. So this is just a common part. So basically all of the Toyotas and all the Lexuses are being recalled. Bring it in. So how about that, Mark? Fairness in reporting on recalls.
Well, again, it's a reason that Tesla has gone electronic with everything that they can to avoid clogging up their service bays with recalls, which will happen with every manufacturer. There's no getting around it. Yeah. But if you can adjust it remotely and just send the software update to make that adjustment, man, talk about a savings in your service department. A huge savings. And that's another advancement that Tesla has brought to the industry. And we see that some other automakers are trying to get on board with it because they can definitely see the savings that they could pick up as well. But
customer satisfaction too.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Because the customer is usually impacted at least for a couple of hours, whether that's just going there and coming back to drop off and pick up the car, being able to just handle that in your driveway overnight while your car connects to your modem, your wireless modem, and just transmits. Like, wow, what a deal.
Exactly. Like I last week I did the recall in my sleep, and then I did the recall to the recall because on my vehicle was one of the ones where I don't know if mine was affected or not because after I installed it I never drove anywhere. Then there was another update to fix. There were cases where FSD was missing, or I thought the 12-volt battery was dying, and a couple of other things. Then they had an update to fix those, but they didn't affect the drivability, and they brought in the recall. They were good, but then for those affected people, they had a patch to make that smoother, and it was done. But I didn't have to go in. I didn't have to think about it. Literally, I pushed boom on my phone, and I went to sleep.
Yeah.
No big deal. Did yours finish the recall?
I don't. To be honest, I don't know. I know that I got the holiday update.
Oh, then you got it.
and that was, and I didn't get a second one after that. So I'm assuming I've got the holiday update with the fix already in it.
Yeah, if there were some people who got the fix without the holiday update, but I think they were like the test group, like the like making sure they don't crash the fleet. By crash the fleet, I mean like mess with the computers, not collisions.
I got a question for you, Kacey, based on the holiday update. You remember when it first came out, you could say ho 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 to the listening device, and it would start playing Chuck Berry's Run Run Rudolph, right?
Yeah, it did.
That went away.
Oh.
It does not in my car. I can't get it to play the Chuck Berry by either invoking Santa mode to start or by saying ho ho ho. Either way, I can't get Chuck Berry to play. And I wanted to see if you could try that out and let me know how that works with your vehicle.
Yeah, let us know, because I'm wondering if it's a licensing deal or if they're just gone. Also, I'm suspecting that in your case, the reason it didn't say anything about the recall is because I don't think that Transport Canada made it a recall yet. And
it was not. Yeah.
So now they don't need to because everybody's got it.
Yep. Exactly.
Save a lot of paper.
Another thing with Santa mode is the sleigh bells on the turn signals.
Is that gone too?
Gone in mine.
I can see that because my turn signals were hella loud, even in Joe mode. They're like click, 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 click. I was, what the? And if you don't have your seatbelt on when you start driving, the bong, 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 bong is higher pitched and more urgent. It's like bong, 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 bong. Not that I drive.
So if you're listening to the show, let us know what is your experience with your Tesla in Santa mode. Do you get the Chuck Berry song?
Yeah.
Do you get sleigh bells on the turn signals, or have they disappeared?
And what country are you in? Let's see. Next up, we've got another little bit on recalls. So Ford was the most recalled automaker in 2023, while Tesla was one of the least. Now, obviously, this is probably in number of recalls because, again, 2 million cars, 100% of your fleet versus whatever these other guys had. The recalls, including physical and over-the-air software updates, are Ford 54, Chrysler 45, BMW 29, Mercedes 27, GM 22, Volkswagen 18, and Tesla 13. And some of the ones I saw from Tesla this year, I think that they were just doing it so they could prove some sort of points. Like again, recalling a 2012 Model S for auto steer, which it didn't have. It didn't even have radar cruise. It had just straight up cruise. I'm wondering if they're building a case here for renaming stuff and changing classifications. They don't got to mail letters for all of this.
Yeah.
Something's going on there. That or they just said, oh, fine, we'll recall them all. We're not going to fight you on this. We don't have time. So Tesla's OTA recalls affected about 2.1 million vehicles, and Tesla's physical recalls were just 21,455 vehicles. So this is bringing into the dealer classic recalls, either issues with suspension or seat belts or the rear camera link, any number of things like that. Speaking of which, there's another software, over-the-air software recall that has been completed. On some Model 3s, the rear view camera doesn't activate fast enough. We saw this earlier in the year, but there's another one. And it was about 200,000 Model 3s and Ys, but it's done, so don't worry about it. I didn't hear it on the news, which was amazing, just like we didn't hear about this Toyota one on the news. Tesla had fewer recalls this year than almost every other large automaker. Source was this Data Hub chart from covering datahub.transportation.gov, and they were covering the NHTSA data they received from their sister agency there. Well, there we go. Recalls, they're good for you. They're annoying sometimes, but if you don't got to bring it in, they're even less annoying.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So the U.S. vehicle set a fuel economy record in the model year 2022, says the EPA. So thanks to the proliferation of EVs, the fuel economy record has gone up 1.2 miles per gallon to an overall average of 26.9 miles per gallon, thanks to EVs and PHEVs. That's awfully low. We should be sitting around 30 to 35 by now, according to targets, but we're at least going in the right direction now instead of continuing to tank it like we saw when the SUVs first became super popular and affordable.
And I would say that that number going up, man, EVs contributed to that completely. Like, we're not seeing gasoline cars getting any more fuel efficient. That's just not happening anymore.
Yeah,
But if you remove the gasoline completely, that really helps.
Poof! Infinite MPGs. This view of this Wawa reminds me of a couple of Wawa superchargers. Like, that's just where the supercharger is, and that's the view I see from my chair.
That's right. Yep.
So good news for all of us because we had to breathe this air. All right, so this one was another one of those cool EV records. This solar electric truck has climbed the world's highest volcano and set a record. And there's a video that I haven't yet watched, but I want to because this thing looks rad. It looks like it's got high flotation tires with they aired them down so that it doesn't sink into the sand. They've got these portable panels they put out so they can recharge the thing. Look at that. So this is a Swiss team called Peak Evolution, sponsored by the Austrian transport and logistics company Gruber Weiss. I hope I didn't say their name too badly. And they climbed the western edge of the Os de Salado, 6,500 meters above sea level in Chile, in their solar electric powered truck. So congrats to the team.
What kind of tires do they have to actually cross lava? That's what I want to know. When they say it's a volcano, it's like, I don't know. Don't know if I want to be traveling up of a volcano with lava. It of course may be dormant. I understand.
But it doesn't even have to be. It doesn't even have to be like magma lava, like the hot stuff. Just it's sharp and like tire piercing, and so to be able to do that without coming off with extra flats, like I see that they were prepared there with that tire strapped to the roof, but
yeah, you better, because that's an unforgiving environment.
Yeah, we need a tow truck. Oh, the tow truck doesn't go that high, Bo. They got a 230 volt AC line inverter, so they can charge up their equipment. That's cool. So basically, it was comfortable while you're doing it. I guess while you weren't moving. Nice. I can't wait to watch this whole video. So I'll leave that up so I remember to do it. Switzerland, speaking of solar, just put vertical solar panels on a roadside retaining wall. And you think, oh yeah, it's good greenwashing, blah blah blah. No, we're talking megawatts and megawatt hours. We're looking at 325 kilowatts and an energy yield of around 230 megawatt hours annually. The equivalent consumption of about 52 Swiss households. I love how they always measure it in households, but like at least they do it as local households because you can't really swap these things around. But if they measure it at least in local houses, you know how many houses came off the grid, which is nice. It's a 756 glass panel system, and it's free real estate. It was there doing nothing anyway. It was holding back dirt and rock.
Exactly. Having those type of scenarios is just an easy win because you don't have to acquire the land rights. The transportation group already owns it. So placing it's like a billboard. You're placing something on an asset you already have and don't have to negotiate for. So why not get some passive income out of it? And as the price of solar panels goes down, just make sure that it's facing the sun most times, and just start cashing in on it, and it helps everybody. So I could see that this idea should be striking many transportation companies in many different countries. It makes complete sense.
Exactly. And you got those naysayers that are like, oh, well, you're giving up valuable farmland, or for one, there's agrovoltaics. Some plants actually grow better with the shade from solar panels. Or, not everybody's roof is strong enough to support. So, yes, it's true. Not everybody's roof is strong enough. But we've got these parking structures. We've got these roadsides. We've got the medians in the roads. We've got these parking lots. There's plenty of good places. We don't need everything covered in solar. But if you start with the stuff that you've already got that you can cover up, you're not having to develop new solar fields And the other thing is when you see a solar field like by a school or a power plant, it's usually trash land that you can't do anything with. It's like a wetland or um, like you couldn't build on it and you couldn't grow crops, and they just add a little bit of shade to it. Nothing spectacular. So that's always good to see. Next up, we've got Hans Nelson is talking about everybody needs to stop talking about climate change as a reason to switch to renewable energy. And he goes on, he says, hold on, don't put your pitchforks back down for a second. Actions that no one really, actions show that no one really cares if it means they have to use less energy, not even Al Gore. You don't see him living like a caveman to save the planet, do you? The real reason that the fossil fuels suck is that they've been expensive and it's hard to convert into usable energy. Yeah, so that basically in the 90s when somebody was talking about energy efficient, saving the planet, blah, 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 you had to get out your hair sweaters and you had to turn off the lights, or you could get lucky and like the curly Q light bulbs came out so you could leave your lights on a little bit longer in the day, right? But that was because all energy came from the ground. It cost money and you had to go do something with it, and it output emissions. But now that we are in like the solar and battery revolution, that is less and less true every day. So we don't have to worry about as much the fossil fuel conversion. Renewables are going to be way cheaper and easier. This means more energy for everyone, more of the things we love about modern life, for more people too. And this was the other part that always got everyone so wound up. They would look at us in the Western developed world, the US, Canada, Mexico, most of Europe, and say, hey, you guys got to do that with abandon, and look where you are. And now you want us coming up in this, up and coming nation, and we have to not participate. You want to keep us down under your thumb all the time, huh? Yeah. Well, with this, that's not a consideration because the energy is renewable. It's not putting anything out, and it's going to lift everybody up. It's going to make everybody who's already got electricity, it's going to make us better. And for those of us that don't already have electricity, it's going to bring us forward into the blessings that the rest of us have already managed to achieve. So that means more energy for everyone, and yay, and not kill the planet. Win, win, win. And that's something we've seen with when you look at like Tesla owners. There are a contingent of them that want to save the environment, hug a tree, all of that thing. But a lot of them, if you look at the personal savings, the personal maintenance savings, hey, this is a cool, comfortable car. This is a cool looking car. It's going to get me all of the opposite gender. Hey, this thing is slick and fast and high tech. Most of the folks that say environment that weren't already the hair sweater folks, the environment was like number 2 or 3 or 5 in why they picked the car. But the environment won, even though they got the stuff that they actually wanted. So
exactly.
Yeah. When you're framing
environment wasn't number 1 for my choice 10 years ago. It was it was a secondary consideration. I was just fed up of paying the roller coaster fees of gasoline. I'd had it. We had a situation here in Ontario where every holiday or coming up to any legal holiday, the price of gasoline would jump for no reason, just because they could gouge you because they knew people were traveling on the roads on that extra Monday or Friday. Exactly. And then it would take, 4 or 5 days for it to pitter down a few cents at a time to get back to where it was. And it's like, why am I paying for this? These multinational companies to gouge me. There's got to be a better way. And 10 years ago, there was a better way. I just was not aware of it. It required a lot of research and talking to people that had switched. But today, 10 years later, it's a lot easier to make the switch, a lot easier. And there's so much more data out there available to everybody to explain what's going on and how it could benefit you.
Exactly. And later on down here, technologists and Hans are talking about the price of it all. It's like, not for poor people, right? Well, that's not necessarily true. These are electronic items. They last tens of years easily. Some of them have 30-year warranties. But what's going to happen is, you have limited space that you can use. So if you're a solar power plant and then the new technology comes out and it's 25% more efficient than what you had as far as like billable output, what are you going to do? You're going to scrap what you have and put the new thing out because that's 25% profit rise in just 4 years.
You probably won't scrap it. You'll probably be able to sell it to somebody downstream.
Exactly. So you get the secondhand market in your own country. They will pay which when they pay you for your used items, you're recovering some of the either some of the is coming back to you, or you're getting a coupon on your new stuff. So that's one way to look at it. And then when they're done with those, then you can like donate it to, like we were saying, some of these up and coming third world countries. They will be glad to have a 25-watt solar panel or a 100-watt solar panel when we're now up to what, 500 watts on one solar panel, 600 watts. If you had no light before, or candlelight or kerosene light, and you can now have light all day, and you can like run a lead battery or an old cell phone battery to have light through the night to do your studies and your clothes repair and taking care of the children, that is game changing.
Yeah, bringing the internet to places that don't have it.
Exactly. Look at how so many of the markets leapfrogged us in North America, because we have landlines everywhere. They leapfrogged us with the 3G and 4G because they didn't need to run wires everywhere. This will be that same way. Yeah. So let's move on to the next thing, because I didn't want to get into the weeds on that, but I wanted to kind of share a paradigm shift of how you can think about it. This one here is okay. I was like, why am I sharing this one? So Rohan Patel is he works for Tesla. It is hard to be definitive about this, but based on the data I've seen, I think Tesla is not only the most American, as in every vehicle sold in America and is made in America, but also the most European for Giga Berlin and the most Chinese for Giga Shanghai. So, like, that's awesome right there, because we always say, oh, they're the most American company, but they're also the most German and the most Chinese. Like, your local car. Elon talked about this. It was one of those things where it's like, oh, Elon's just saying shit again because he's always talking. But he said this is going to be the most local car that you can buy. And here we are, what is this, like 3 to 8 years later? And it is. Like literally, if you're in Germany, it is the most German car you can buy.
Yeah, they definitely talked about the ability to pull in parts from around the factory, not have waiting on a shipment coming from another continent. They wanted to be able to build it locally. Remember when Shanghai opened up in that watermelon field, and Tesla had said that, yeah, we're getting parts from everywhere right now, but we are going to consolidate where we get those parts from over time. And now I believe they're getting 85% of their parts locally. So they went from outsourcing all of it to now they're getting it from all around them locally.
That's awesome. Here, Sawyer Merritt has shared, he's replying to a Sawyer Merritt post. Here Sawyer Merritt showed the, just for the US, number 1, 2, 3, and 4, Teslas. And we can expect number 5 to show up there once Cybertruck is certified in whatever methodology this thing uses. Because everybody that we talked to, like even on the Jay Leno show, they said this is like there's nothing not local about this vehicle. Everything is made either in Texas or in the U.S. Even like with the Model S and the Model X, the reason they're so much lower than the 3 and the Y is their batteries come from Japan. Whereas the 3 and the Y, most of their batteries, not all of them, most of their batteries come from Nevada. So there we go. So you got then number 5 is the Passport. So all right, Honda, you're getting kicked out of the top 5 next year. Sorry. This is good to see. Hats off to the Tesla supply chain teams. Not an easy job. That is not easy, because logistics is tough. All right, so this is something that Mark and I were talking about earlier in the week. Drive Tesla Canada is reporting, so Tesla Charging is now removing the bollards and Tesla vehicle charging only signs in Canada after starting to do the same in the US last week, except at your site where they're putting them back in.
Well, they haven't been installed yet, so who knows?
Oh, that's true. They might not install them.
We just got the little nubs where the signs go. Who knows if they'll put up the signs?
Right. These ones have the red bollards too. This is the 24 stall Hope Supercharger in BC. Really strange decision. Wouldn't it make more sense to just put stickers over the signs? Yeah, I could see that. Anyone notice other superchargers in Canada having these bollards and signs removed? Photo by Igor B. And the Bucky's is cutting down the Tesla-only charging signs as a way to acknowledge that NACS is not just for Tesla any longer. Tesla charging, Elon Musk. I think instead of cutting them down, you should, like you said, put stickers or change the sign to just say electric vehicle charging.
EV charging only.
Yeah, because if you take the signs down entirely, ooh, it's going to be a mess.
Yeah.
Because some of the sites don't have a lot of parking, or just for cost savings reasons, they put them close to the building because that's where the electric feed came in. And
could this also be a realization, Kacey, that the public is starting to get it?
Yeah, it very well could be.
Why are
especially
we putting up these signs for every charge stall when people are starting to understand it? When when there was only 6 or 8 chargers in a parking lot, and it was 6 years ago.
yeah,
Maybe we needed to label everything, but maybe it's overkill now, because when you see a row of 40 chargers,
right.
something is going on. That you probably have looked into it. Why does my local mall now have 40 spots that have these red and white chargers sitting in them? What are they? What
Yeah,
is
whatever
Tesla?
they are, exactly. And,
Yeah,
and when you look at
it,
it,
it
like,
could be that, and
yeah,
that's a save on cost.
yeah, and let's look at the economics of it all. So let's say just the sign face itself. Let's say it's at a volume discount that's going to be $25 a sign, and you've just installed a site with 100 stalls. Forget the posts and the labor, just the sign faces.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, and then like Mark said, like the people, yeah, they can claim ignorance for a little bit longer, but that's running out. There's no way you can say you didn't know, especially in the states where
Yes.
it's got a fine, or like states and provinces with a fine or a tow away for icing a EV stall. You'll learn quickly, even if there is no signs. Like,
The
oh, that's
world is changing, and you cannot deny it for much longer, if at all.
yeah. And Kyle brings up a point. The bollards are probably being removed so that non-Teslas can get closer for the cable to reach. May as well remove the signs while you're already doing that. Yeah, because you're already paying somebody to be hacking at the concrete. Might as well get it done right.
Although, Kyle, I have to say that that's a risky game too, because who's going to be starting to hit those superchargers then? Getting in a
Everybody.
little close. So we'll start seeing all the superchargers just lean in a little bit.
As long as they still work.
That could be costly. I think I'd maybe go in with a little bit longer of a cable. Let's spend the money on that instead of removing a bollard.
Yes. And we're going to see in sites where it's not legal to not have a bollard, they'll definitely stay. But we'll probably see them put them back. And like Mark said, put in either longer cables or just put in the V4 dispensers, which have ridiculously accessible length on their dispensers. All right, so
Yeah.
Tesla Australia and New Zealand says that both Tesla and non-Tesla EVs can access a 50% reduced rate at select supercharger locations in Australia before 9 a.m. and after 9 p.m. from the 22nd of December to the 7th of January. So a little Christmas present for you if you're traveling in Australia and New Zealand on the supercharger network, which, as we just discussed, isn't just Tesla people. So get out there and enjoy it. And I don't know what you guys have for non-Tesla networks in Australia and New Zealand, but this might be cost competitive. We've seen this happen with Electrify America and the others here in Electrify Canada and them, where they'll try and compete, and it's quite fun to try and get the best out of it, which is nice. All right, and then the last free schedule story we've got is this one is from Esther Kokelman's News. Take a look at the amazing design of this new Tesla V4 supercharger that opened recently in France. The future of charging in Europe, in the world, located in Navbon, Sud. I just butchered that, I know. 20 stalls, open to all EVs. So this is when you look in the app and it says charge your non-Tesla EV, this one's already there. And because these are V4 dispensers, you can tap and pay your credit card or debit card or whatever you have over there, or you can use your Tesla app. And if you're a member of the Tesla app, you can get Tesla prices. So if you travel a lot and you supercharge a lot, it might be worth the localized $20 a month, whatever your local, because Tesla makes the prices the same worldwide. So for $20 a month, you can get cheaper pricing than the non-Tesla pricing, which is worth looking into. And so Tesla France is accelerating with immense speed. More than 5 new V4 superchargers opened in the last 2 weeks only. Keep it up, Tesla Europe. And let's zoom in, take a picture. Take a look at the pictures he took for us. All right, look at that. My favorite is when they've got the solar canopies, because it's a little bit cooler under there in the summertime, and if it's raining or snowing, it's not like dripping on you. Look at that.
And they get a passive collection of energy that's available, just sitting there.
And then the ones under there are pull through as well. I mean, they don't look like they're made to be pull through, but like you can use them as a pull through if you're towing something. And then you've got a contingent on the outside that are back in or nose in if you're not a Tesla. Nice. That looks sharp.
Absolutely.
Let's give them a little heart. And let's give them a little retweet. Repost, I'm sorry. It'll take me a while to get all of the terminology. And they're going to change it again anyways. Elon said he didn't like them anyway. Should be mandatory in parking with a megapack. Yes. But no. Let's make it affordable to make a megapack. People just do the right thing on their own. We don't want to force them to do it. That roof is amazing. Something everyone should think about. Some people dream, some people do. Some people scream to their fellow club members that other people are smarter, harder working, and more accomplished. Interesting. There we go. There was more, but I don't want to take up all your day. And I thank Mark for coming in the beginning here and staying through. Did you have anything you wanted to share with the group aside from?
I want to share one thing. There is a dealership, Tesla showroom in Rogers, Minnesota, that used to be a Hummer dealership. And until recently, it didn't make a lot of sense as to why they were there. But now with the introduction of the Cybertruck, this location has a unique feature that no other Tesla dealership has. And it is a small obstacle course for off-road vehicles built into the front of its location. This is Rogers, Minnesota. You can clearly see it from Google Earth, Google Maps, if you check it out. But there was a posting made recently that we shared on the Tesla Life Twitter feed. I'm sorry, X feed. And it had this Cybertruck going over these large humps that were built out in front of the dealership. I thought it was kind of cool. We posted about it. Just wanted to share it here.
Yeah, let's take a look. Oh, we went. I actually don't see them from the feed. I see them as X presents them to me. There we go. This one?
It's got like 4 photos, right?
Yeah. All right, let's take a look. Oh yeah, like the Land Rover Adventure or whatever they call them. This is awesome. Oh,
Exactly.
Look.
Exactly.
You get practice at not high centering the truck or scraping the battery. All right. Well, not only that, but also while not running the fence down.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, you got a little bit of room to wiggle. It's not like, oh, and they got the.
And then if you take a look at the Google Maps image, it shows that it's got like some corduroy road section. It's got to raise the wheels on one side and then the other side. It's a very cool little course that they built in front of the dealership, right against the highway that it faces. So what an excellent idea for a Hummer dealership too. Like it was great. But of course, Tesla now has an actual Cybertruck to take on these things. What a plus.
Do they have the link in this thread here?
The link to the Google image? No. You'd have to look it up. But if you look it up, just type in Rogers, Minnesota Tesla dealership, and it comes up right away. Or Rogers, Minnesota Tesla, it would come up.
All right. Just in case this thing shows my exact location, let's go to collab view, and I'll push enter. Got to be web smart, folks. All right. So we got. Oh, I did it in Bing. I typed in Google Maps. I mean, I like Bing, but not for the maps. For the maps, I prefer. The last time I liked Bing Maps was when I had a Windows phone. But for the maps, I like the Google Maps. All right, let's paste this in here. There we go. All right, so now we'll go back to presentation view. And what are we looking at here? It's closed right now because it's Christmas Eve.
Yep.
Might affect these hours. So we do satellite view, or they have pictures here?
If you search, like you're using Google Maps, is that what you're using?
Yeah, I don't want aerial.
Okay.
View.
So you just want satellite view.
All right. It doesn't like my small screen. Terrain, street view, air quality, satellite. Why is that not like the first option? Isn't that what people?
Yeah, it should be. Should be the first option. That's what everyone likes to do. Yeah. But where you see the freeway, you can see the dirt track coming off of the pavement, and then following it for a distance, almost all the way to the end. So it almost runs the full length of the property
In the
at
back, I see it now.
that dealership.
Yeah, straight from there.
And
Like
if you zoom in, you can see the little truck, and you can see the little humps, and very cool.
that bridge. Yeah. Oh, look, you got a washboard road. All right. Okay. Yeah, get a little off-road training with your new vehicle, and that's
That first thing you've zoomed in on was they were installing a supercharger grouping to the side. So they installed some superchargers for that location as well.
it's got ample parking. They'll overflow that in about a month.
Yep, absolutely. But very cool, and Tesla should consider this where they have other dealerships that have the space availability.
Yeah.
What better thing to do than to show how your 4-wheel drive truck can handle some obstacles? Very cool idea.
Yeah, it looks like those.
Hats off to Hummer.
Hats off to Hummer.
Although they didn't last, but hats off for the idea. Great marketing.
Yeah, and so then we've got some more chats that I need to address. We got Anders came in. He said, "Merry Christmas," and 93 octane costs $6.88 a gallon here in Sweden.
Woo! Ouch!
Yeah.
Ouch!
So I want to take the opportunity to thank all of you for coming out on this Christmas Eve to chat with us, and I want to thank all of our channel members for your monetary contribution to help pay for this software and streaming and all that stuff. I want to thank all of you for your time. So we will catch you on the flip side.
Have a great holiday, everyone.